Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 391. All right, guys, welcome to a great day. I'm ready to get started. I think we shall see soon. It's been, I did it again. I left the volume on my phone. Welcome to the JP8 Report. Yeah, like I said, it's been an eventful morning. I've been not texting, but emailing back and forth to Rumble, trying to figure out if some of y'all have a problem. See, I'm not having a problem now. What in the world? Okay, so what was going on? I have an Android phone, Android tablet, and my phone, when I'm watching a podcast, they would spin. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. And a buddy of mine, Covite for Life, he may be on there, but it's his birthday today, so he may not be on. I don't know. If he comes on, we can all tell him happy birthday. But what was going on was it would spin. It would spin and spin, and like, man, it'd take forever for it to come up. So I was emailing back and forth to Rumble, and Rumble said, well, have you tried to log off and log back on? Have you tried to restart the program? Have you tried to force stop it? And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I've been wrestling with that and then building the podcast for this morning and then working with my monitor back here because, I do the morning brief. And so I got the morning brief backdrop finally back up there for the morning. And in the middle of the podcast, before the podcast, it started like a slideshow to go back and forth between the JPA report. I'm like, oh, great. So I turned it on right before the podcast started this morning, and it went into hibernation mode. I think I got it figured out, and someone's probably going to get on and tell, yeah, James, you're stupid. That's all it took. So I selected the button for it, and I hit it one more time to put it on pause so the slideshow won't go further. So that's good. It's been on for 2 hours, so we shall see. And now here we go. I thought I was going to freeze up. All right, so welcome to the JPA Report. Click that follow button and see the crazy antics from James. Because I'm not very, okay. Well, before we go any further, I was watching Graham Allen this morning, and Todd Spears on there said he was saying on there when they were having technical issues, he was talking about Graham and his intricate setup, right? And then Todd says, I like to remain as simple as possible. And I'm looking, he's got the same type of setup as me. I have monitor, and he's got the same thing. He's got 3 monitors on his desk. So he can do the podcast and stuff. I'm like, but he says, I just want to plug it and play and not configure anything. I'm the same way. All right. My daughter, she just signed in with the Texas flag. Hey, Rachel. She's not brave enough to come in and get on camera. She just graduated from her university with her master's degree about a month ago, matter of fact. So, the 15th, what's today's date? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, today's the 12th. In 3 more days, she graduated 1 month ago. But yeah, so we're doing it. So click that follow button for the podcast to become a subscriber to the podcast or a follower to the podcast. And then click that like button for the podcast show today. And then chat with us, right? Get in there, have fun, talk back and forth. It's temporary, so at the end of the show, nobody knows, right? And if you want to give me a tip, click that tip button that's on there, and it goes to Rumble Wallet, and you can, oh great, I just got threatened. I'm going to report her. No, that's my daughter that's on the chat. She just said that she'll throw the cat in. And we all know how that cat is around here. We've heard that cat a million times on this podcast. All right, so onward. So the final part for the letter that I started this morning. So if you want to hear the first part, you got to go back and listen to JP's morning brief. So this is a letter from John Adams to James Warren on the 12th of May, 1776. All right, so part 2. Who will be your governor or president, Bowdoin or Winthrop or Warren? Don't divide. Let the choice be unanimous, I beg. If you divide, you will split the province into factions. For God's sake, caucus it beforehand and agree unanimously to push for the same man. Bowdoin's future fortune would be a great advantage at the beginning. How are his nerves and his heart? If they will do, his head and fortune ought to decide his favor. The office of governor of the Massachusetts Bay, surrounded as will be with difficulties, perplexities, and dangers of every kind, and on every side will require the clearest and coolest head, and the firmest, steadiest heart, and the most immovable temper, and the most profound judgment. Talking about edifying, man, which you can find anywhere in the province. He ought to have a fortune too, and extensive connections. I hope that Mr. Bowdoin's health is such that he will do. If not, you must dispense with fortune and fix with Winthrop, I think. I know not where to go for a better, unless a major general for the old colony can be agreed to with equal unanimity, whom I should prefer both of the other, provided with equal number who would agree to it. For I confess my rule should be to vote for the man with whom the majority run, with the choice might be unanimous and respectful as possible. I dread the consequences of electing governors, and would avoid every appearance and tendency toward the party and division as the greatest evil. I have sent down a resignation for my seat at the board, because this is not a time, if ever there can be one for sincers. Fill up every place. They ought to be full. I believe I must resign the office which the board has assigned me for the same reason, but I shall think a little more than that and take advice. Then he became president of the United States 25 years later. Wow. Okay. Got one question. Mr. Bowden's. Is that Bowdoin College in Maine? Because, Maine and Massachusetts used to be the same. And then after the country became a country, they split off part of their territory, and Maine became a state. So Bowdoin College, I bet that's it. I bet it is. See, I might have learned something. By the way, do you know who the richest person in the 13 colonies was during the Revolution? Anyone know? Anyone know? No? No. Okay. Robert Morris was the richest person, and he's the only person that signed the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, and the Constitution of the United States. I learned that this morning. All right. So before we get into we got to do the armament shop. All right. So transition. The armament shop, whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the Armament Shop is Copper's Cove's premier source for all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns, backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL? Jason can handle those classes. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove, or call or text 254 560 2023, or visit www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop, your safety, our priority. All right, thank you very much. Let me go back down here. There we go. All right, so before we get into the Iran update, like I was talking about, just want to let you know this just crossed the Fox News wires just a few minutes ago. Kevin Warsh, he cleared his final hurdle in the Senate. His confirmation vote will be tomorrow, and he will be sworn in, I believe, on the 15th of May as the next chairman of the Federal Reserve, replacing Jerome Too Slow Powell, which, on the downside, I'd be Debbie Downer here. Jerome Powell said he's not going to leave the Federal Reserve. He's just going to take one of the governor slots, which he legally can, but he would be only the second person in the history of the Federal Reserve to do that. The last person, only person, was the Fed chair under President Truman, right? And he was asked to do that. So Harry Truman asked him to stay on the board of governors, but give up your seat to the person that was confirmed. But Jerome Powell wasn't asked. He's like that guest that won't leave. Everybody else is gone, and he just wants to keep talking and keep talking, keep talking. As you inch toward the door, he wants to sit back down. That type of person. He just got to like, hey guy, you got to go. All right. But yeah, so Kevin Warsh, congratulations. Tomorrow you will be confirmed as the next chair of the Federal Reserve. All right. Iran update. We're in Project Freedom, which has been suspended for right now because of ongoing negotiations, which I don't see going very far. The ceasefire has a 1% chance of surviving. That's per the president yesterday. Kuwait captured 4, I'd say 4, uno, dos, tres, cuatros, IRGC infiltrators on one of their islands off the coast of Kuwait yesterday. And so they captured 4 of them. So now they're throwing drones at the Kuwaitis, and now they're putting infiltrators from the IRGC. It makes you wonder what the Iranians are up to. All right. Qatar warns Iran not to try to blackmail the use of the use of the Strait of Hormuz for their benefit, and they told them don't threaten them at all with drones and missiles. The same thing with Kuwait and United Arab Emirates, where they shot down drones and missiles yesterday. 65 ships so far have been redirected. 4 have been disabled. Trump still is considering renewed use of force if the talks break down. Confirmed that the United Arab Emirates secretly attacked Iran on the first day of the ceasefire, which began about a month ago. Now, you got to put it in context. We were wondering why the UAE has been hit so many times from Iran, right? Well, what we didn't know was that they knew that the UAE was attacking them back. Okay, it's been going back and forth, so that's all right. They're defending their homeland, and they had to strike back. Hey, my hat's off to those guys because that's good. That shows gall right there. Iraq denies Israel had a secret base within its territory. Iran's leadership may be planning to flee, and we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. Iran executes a man for passing secrets to the CIA. Well, allegedly passing secrets to the CIA. Uh, as of about 10:45 Eastern time this morning, Brent crude oil was trading at $107.98 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate was trading at $101.98 a barrel, and the Dow Jones was at 49,448.46. It was down 256.01. All right. So here we go. First thing up on the JP8 report is the president is leaving this afternoon to go to China. He's going to be there for tomorrow, and then he's going to fly back on Thursday. It's going to be, man, that's one expensive airplane trip. They're going to land, and then they're going to come back. That's a turn and burn, but yeah, I'd hate to see that fuel receipt for that one. I would have held that thing by VTC or something. Have the ambassador there shake hands with Xi Jinping and said that's the same as the presidential handshake or something. All right. So, yeah, the president's leaving this afternoon to go to China. And then the first thing in the hopper here, we're not going to get in Alabama until two more stories, okay? All right. So the first one, Iran regime power players may eye Russia and Assad-style escape as U.S. talks falter. Yeah, you're going to take that quick plane trip ride. You don't forget to click like for the more people that click like, the more of a chance people get to see the video, see the podcast after we're done, okay? And if you didn't believe it's live, it's actually 1:18 p.m. Eastern. So just so you know. The apparent collapse of high-stakes U.S.-Iran negotiations has intensified fears that senior figures inside Tehran's leadership could flee to Russia, seeking refuge to continue their insurgency and undermine any new regime. The breakdown in talks comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told CBS 60 Minutes that toppling Iran's regime could now even be a more realistic outcome. Netanyahu noticed that any collapse would dismantle the scaffolding of Iran's global terror network, also potentially ending Hezbollah's influence in the region. The whole scaffolding of the terrorist proxy network that Iran built collapses if the regime in Iran collapses. I think you can predict when that will, if it's possible. Yes, it's guaranteed no. Okay. What diplomatic options perhaps exhausted in the regime's stability in question? An expert suggests that exit strategy in any leadership may be similar to what Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who fled Syria in 2024. Can't believe it's been only 2 years. If the situation deteriorates further, some senior figures could potentially follow a path like Bashar al-Assad, inner circle, and seek refuge in Russia. And then Middle East expert Saeed Golkar told Fox News Digital, Golkar, senior advisor for United Against Nuclear Iran, noted that flight destinations would likely depend on rank. While top commanders like Parliament Speaker Mohammed Bagar Galif might head toward Moscow. Lower ranking figures would likely seek shelter in Iraq or Afghanistan, where the IRGC maintains operational connections. For the most senior figures, Russia would probably be the most likely decision. Again, as we saw with Bashar al-Assad, financial networks moved wealth within networks, right? The current crisis started following the death of the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei earlier in 2026 with Operation Epic Fury, while his son Mojtaba Khamenei was named successor. Reports continue to indicate he was severely wounded in airstrikes and has been absent from recent negotiations. I would like to see proof of life. Either give us proof of life with the picture of him on video talking, or give us the 8-digit grid and we can finish them off. And y'all can start over from scratch. So you don't know. We don't know until it really happens if they're actually going to try to withdraw from the scene, right? But if the theocratical government goes away, so total support going toward Hezbollah is gone. What's going to the Houthis is gone. What's going to Hamas is gone. And every single Iranian-backed militia inside of Iraq is gone, because all their funding is going to be totally out there and nobody is going to fund them. That would be a good thing for Israel and a great thing for us. Only time will tell, but it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I still think within 2 weeks they got a lifeline, unless they're going to destroy the entire environment around the countryside of Iran where all their oil wells are, because they're going to run out of storage capacity and they're going to have to turn off their pumps or let oil free flow on the ground in Iran. And if you turn off the wells, you have to re-drill the wells, which costs millions of dollars. So, the president's going to be in China, and the topic of Iran is going to come up because let's see, how does that go? 10% of the oil that China receives it's either 10 or 30% of the oil that China receives is from Iran, but it's responsible for 80% of the exports of oil from China goes to Iran. All right, so 30% of their imports comes from Iran into China, but 80% of the oil exported out of Iran goes to China. Okay, figure that little ratio out. All right, so what are we doing? It's 12:24. We're doing pretty good still. So next thing I want to talk about, it almost became my title. I almost called this the expungement. All right, so we know what happened in 2019 and in 2021, right? President Trump was impeached twice. He's the only president that's ever been impeached twice. All right. Matter of fact, he's the only president that got impeached after he left office, which still today is somewhat controversial. So how can you impeach someone that's no longer in office? If that was the case, why didn't they go ahead and continue on with the impeachment of Richard Nixon when he resigned from office, right? But so the two impeachments was for the so-called phone call to what do you call it? To the Ukraine. I'm sorry, lost the thought. And in the second one, they accused the president of incitement during the 2021 stuff, right? Both were proven that he had nothing to do with any of it. He had nothing to do with the January 6th stuff, and then he did not make an improper, illegal phone call with the president of the Ukraine. He was set up. They provided false testimony and false documentation. The whole thing was a lie. It was a total farce. So normally, in real life, you would expunge that from the record. The judge says, "I expunge it." He's totally exonerated. It never happened. But unlike in the civilian world, this is the political world, right? And it takes a vote of Congress to do this, to pass an impeachment. Well, there's never been an attempted expungement of an impeachment through the House of Representatives until now. Congressman Darrell Issa, he produced House Resolution 1211. So he introduced a resolution aimed at reversing the two impeachments of President Trump in the House of Representatives in a move he says will rectify a situation that Democrats use knowingly false claims in a partisan attempt to destroy the president's reputation. The resolution, House Resolution 1211, referred to the House Judiciary Committee, declares that both Trump impeachments approved by the House in 2019 and 2021 should be formally expunged as if such article had never passed the full House of Representatives. The fact is that the Constitution does not spell out what to do when you're proven when you wrongfully indicted someone. Issa told Fox News, an impeachment is basically an indictment, and it's an indictment that you can't really be acquitted from. If you are impeached by the House, famously, where do you go to get your reputation back is the question. And that's sort of the problem we're dealing with, which is that the president was wrongfully accused. The evidence is now out that there was withheld information and false information, but where do we go to unring this bell? The answer is we go back to Congress and we go to the House floor and we have a vote. More importantly, Issa explained, is that he hopes the process will make sure that the facts and the reality more importantly, Issa explained is that he hopes this process will make sure that the facts and reality that there was misconduct in the process gets a hearing, because that's really where it becomes a big deal, in that we will really have to make our case in front of Congress and in front of the American people. The resolution makes the case that in the 2019 impeachment was based on unreliable and politically biased information, pointing to the newly declassified material that it says undermines the credibility of the anonymous whistleblower whose complaint triggered the inquiry. It contends the whistleblower lacked first-hand knowledge, was assisted by other officials with alleged political bias, and that House investigators mishandled and misrepresented the evidence while denying Trump the opportunity to confront his accusers. In a press conference earlier this year, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, the Texan now, the former Hawaiian, now new Texan, announced the declassification of documents she says revealed a coordinated effort within the intelligence community to manufacture a conspiracy that was used as the basis to impeach President Trump in 2019. People need to go to jail for that. ISIS says the Democrats broke every House rule in their impeachment quest, and a source close to ISIS' office told Fox News Digital that prominent Democrats have admitted in private that information revealed since impeachment reflects so poorly on the House, and the House was ruled by Nancy Pelosi. She was the Speaker, and represents an example of what's gone wrong in the Capitol and in Washington. The resolution argues that the 2021 impeachment was rushed and procedurally flawed, noting that the House moved from introduction to passage in 2 days and did not conduct a full evidentiary process. While lawmakers held a brief committee hearing with constitutional experts, the measure advanced without fact witnesses or extended investigation, which the resolution says denied Trump basic due process. They impeached him for essentially insurrection, a true crime, but it's false, ISIS said. Previous attempts have been made to reverse impeachments, including resolutions in 2022 and 2023, but never received hearings, markups, or floor votes, and was denied at the end of the 118th Congress. ISIS told Fox News that the previous resolutions were not written as strongly as this one and did not have what we have, which is the compelling case to say the misconduct of the accusation is now that we're going to go through whether we're going to have a trial rather than the president, because he was impeached with information that the very people who brought knew it was wrong. Additionally, ISIS' effort has the backing of one of the top Republicans in Congress, Jim Jordan of Ohio. Democrats weaponized impeachment against President Trump with politically motivated charges. Jordan told Fox News, "We applaud Chairman Issa for his leading the fight in this fight to expunge this sham from the record. The effort also has the strong support of other House Republicans, including Claudia Tenney, Scott Fitzgerald, Russell Fry, Mark Alford, Tim Burchett, Tom McClintock, David Taylor, Harriet Hagman, Rick Allen, Rich McCormick, Michael Rulli, Mary Miller, Mike Collins, Glenn Grothman, Jimmy Petronis, Tracy Mann, Tim Walberg, John Rose, Joe Wilson. He's famous for saying "you lied" about Barack Obama. David Rouser, Diana Harshbarger, and Admiral Ronnie Jackson. All those are co-signers already. ISIS resolution reignites a constitutional argument about whether the House can retroactively nullify an impeachment it has already adopted. Supporters contend that because the Constitution gives the House sole power of impeachment, it also has the authority over its own records and can vote to expunge prior actions. Critics, including some legal scholars, argue that while the House can express disapproval or annotate its records, it cannot erase the historical fact of an impeachment or due constitutional process once it has occurred, making the efforts largely symbolic. Our goal is to show that it's false, it's malicious false. As a result, it should no longer stand as a legitimate accusation to be played upon when people are saying no kings. When you have been falsely accused, whether it's days, weeks, months, or years later, somebody should be just as interested in printing that retraction on the front pages as they were putting the original charge on the front page. Um, and that's exactly what we're trying to achieve. It is a legitimate retraction, receive at least some semblance of the same attention as the false accusations did. The press will never bite at this. Look, um, I say he's innocent no matter what. I mean, after what that happened in 19 and 21, he was set up. They lied through their teeth. And, and really, when you go through an indictment, all the people in the indictment is the prosecution's charge to get an indictment, to press charges, right? But you have to tell the truth. And when you are before the grand jury, which is the House of Representatives, you have to tell the truth, or you will be held accountable for perjury. None of these people have been held accountable yet. Their day is coming because they embarrass the United States of America. They embarrass the President of the United States. They embarrass the citizens of the United States. They attempted a coup on our president. It's different that if they brought him up on charges and they indicted him, impeached him, it went to the House, they had to the Senate, and they had a full trial in the Senate. And they said, you know what? We understand the situation. You're not guilty, right? That's not what happened. He got hemmed. He got hemmed up really, really bad by people. All they wanted to do was get rid of the president so they can take charge of our country. Those people, those conspiracists, and you can say the same thing. Chris Wray, Jim Coney, uh, uh, Brennan, and there's countless others. Merrick Garland. Oh, and Merrick Garland was during Biden. Uh, but there's a whole slew of people that need to go to jail. They need to go to jail and the key thrown away for a coup they attempted against our president. Both times. Well, the one in 2021 should never have happened because he was no longer in power at all. Impeachment is talking about the president, not a former president, but the president, right? The fact is, yeah, he was guilty. He was not guilty. Tulsi Gabbard and Cash Patel have been showing these trough of documents that they discovered from Jack Smith and some other people, Hillary Clinton and them. These documents are converging, showing that the president did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. They need to expunge it, get rid of it. It never happened. All right? It never happened. They need to make this happen. Darrell Issa, he is about to retire from the Congress. He did a right thing. He used to be the congressman in the San Diego area, right? He gave up his seat and stepped down and went back into personal life. Somebody else came up and he decided to retire. I forgot who it was, but then Darrell Issa said, "You know what? I'm going to serve a couple more terms in Congress." And he came back, got reelected, and he announced he's going to retire a few months ago, right? But he was going to run for reelection even after the Prop 50 thing happened. He said, "No, I'm going to push it. I'm going to get reelected." And something came up, and he said he's going to retire. But this is his last hurrah. Let's give it to him. All right. What are we doing at time now? We're at 12:40. Wow. All right. I'm barely making through this. I'm feeling good today. All right. So if you're watching, you have not clicked that like button or the follow button, please do so. All right. I'd like to see 150 followers at the end of this episode, and let's get some likes going. Um, more likes, more people see it at the end of the day, right? All right, next. So on Friday, Grandma Ivy told her attorney general. Grandma Ivy is the governor of Alabama. If you ever seen a picture of her, you understand why I call her Grandma Ivy, because she's the sweet old grandma there that's looking out for the greater purpose of people in Alabama. They passed uh, new maps, taking out the minority majority congressional districts, which a federal court said you are required to have due to the Voters' Rights Act, right? Well, the Supreme Court a few weeks ago, Dr. Marty McCary is resigning as the FDA commissioner. Breaking news. All right. Wow. Wonder what caused that. Okay, so a few weeks ago, the Supreme Court of the United States told the country and made it effective immediately that you are not allowed to have minority majority congressional districts because it's discriminatory, right? It's got to be uh, it's got to be fairly based, right? So Alabama, Grandma Ivy called a special session, just as the same as Mississippi's doing right now, and they, in record time, passed bills to eliminate the minority-majority districts and make them fair and ungerrymandered. Okay, cool. So she signed the bill and submitted it to the court, and the court said no. Really. The court said, no, you cannot do this. It's against the Voters' Rights Act. So, they thumbed her nose at the Supreme Court, really. So she directed her attorney general to go and go for an emergency hearing before the Supreme Court of the United States. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is Friday. You're not going to hear nothing back for 2-3 months, right? Oh my goodness, you're wrong. If you had that on your bingo card, you're doing pretty good. But so Monday, that would be yesterday, right? The Supreme Court, wow, in record time, right? The Supreme Court on Monday afternoon cleared the way for Alabama to use a congressional map that a lower court had blocked on the ground that it violated Section 2 of the VRA, which prohibits racial discrimination in voting. The justices threw out the lower court order barring Alabama from using the map, which it had adopted in 2023, and sent the dispute back to lower court for another look. Okay, Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissented from Monday's decision in a 4-page opinion joined by, you guess it, Elena Kagan and Kitani, I don't know what I'm doing, Brown Jackson. In her view, the court's decision was inappropriate and will cause only confusion as Alabamians begin to vote in the election scheduled for next week. The dispute began 5 years ago when Alabama enacted a new congressional map in the wake of the 2020 census. A group of black voters and civil rights organizations, I bet one of them was the Southern Poverty Law Center, which, they're racist, and went to federal court where they alleged that the new map violated Section 2 of VRA and because it spread black voters in southern Alabama across 3 congressional districts, leaving them in a minority in each. The district court agreed that the 2021 map likely violated Section 2, and it barred the state from using the map. The Supreme Court upheld the decision in 2023 in Allen Mulligan Later that year, Alabama adopted a new map, but federal court concluded that in 2023, the map also likely violated Section 2 and prohibited the state from using it. The Supreme Court declined to pause the lower court's ruling, like it did the other day. A court-appointed special master ultimately created a new map, which the district court ordered the state to use going forward. In 2025, the court ruled. So this has been an ongoing effort for several years, right? And it took Louisiana to get it through the Supreme Court. Alabama told the justices on Friday that its case mirrors Louisiana's, and they should not end the same way. With this year's elections run with districts based on lawful policy goals, not race. When it drew the 2023 map, Alabama said it sought to achieve the state's neutral goals like protecting incumbents and refused to let race dominate. And on Saturday, Alabama told the court the state's legislature passed a law allowing a special primary election for affected congressional districts. If a federal court permits the state to restore the 2023 map, in an unsigned one-paragraph order on Monday afternoon, the Supreme Court granted Alabama's appeal and sent the dispute back to the lower court for another look. In light of its ruling in Calais, the justice did not provide any additional explanation for their decision. In her dissent, Sotomayor, who cares what Sotomayor said? All right, so it looks like Alabama is going to get 2 more Republican districts because they're legally going to be able to split those minority-majority districts apart and make them based on politics and population instead of race, right? Because you don't have Latinos or Hispanic districts and black districts. You have congressional districts, all right? Wow. So now it's going to go through Mississippi. It's going to go through South Carolina also. I mean, fair is fair. So before we go any further, I'm going to Fox News, okay? I want to see this deal about Martin McCary. If it shows it, hold on just a second. So we get an idea what they were talking about. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. How much lower can I go? Nope. Hit refresh. See what comes up. Oh, there it is. All right. Y'all ready for this? All right. So, Food and Drug Administrator Martin McCary is resigning from his position Tuesday, a White House official told Fox News Digital. The official said that Martin McCary's resignation has to do with process at the FDA and not a specific issue. He said there is no bad blood between the president and the outgoing commissioner. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. pushed for McCary's resignation, according to the White House. Kyle Diamantis, and it has to do with vapes. All right. Kyle Diamantis, FDA Deputy Commissioner, will serve as the acting commissioner. McCary's resignation following mounted pressure from pro-life advocates and administration critics who had grown frustrated with his handling of several high-profile FDA decisions and claims he has slow-rolled Maha initiatives, according to media reports. And then Wall Street Journal reported on Friday that the president had reportedly already signed off on a plan to fire McCary, citing three familiar sources who cited McCary's handling of abortion and drug policy. I've been reading about it, but I don't know nothing about it. The president said the same day after he was asked by reporters if he would fire, if McCary would be fired. The resignation comes one day before McCary was set to testify in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee, although McCary's resignation is not attributable to a specific issue, according to the White House. His tenure atop the FDA has put him at the center of fights over abortion drug mifestrins, I can't pronounce it, otherwise known as abortion pill, vaccine policy, and drug approvals, frustrating pro-life activists and Maha-aligned critics argue he was moving too slow to carry out Trump's health agenda. But they're not saying anything about the vapes. So the New York Post is saying that so Marty McCary resigns as FDA commissioner after Trump vape criticism. So the FDA commissioner resigned his position Tuesday after irking President Trump with his new slow walking of flavored e-cigarette approvals, according to multiple reports. McCary, a cancer doctor, regularly appeared with Trump over the past year at events promoting public health initiatives in the president's effort to drive down prescription drug prices. But he also made powerful enemies. In addition to the well-connected vape industry, whom Trump promised to support during a successful campaign, McCary angered advocates for rapid approval of treatments of rare ailments like Huntington's disease. Okay, so it looks like he didn't want vapes out there because we know what vapes do to the lungs. So he had a disagreement with the president, and then he had a problem. I guess he wasn't as pro-life as he should have been, and they found out about it. And so it was a rigmarole, and he's gone. All right, so let's get back to the JP8 report. That's all too much time there. All right, so let's see. We got that done. Right there. All right, so hold on just a second. All right, so I'm going to do an ad read real quick for everyone from Rumble Premium. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and is not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech and puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience with Premium. You get ad-free viewing across the platform, no pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you can actually care about. That's the deal. I've been using Premium for a while, for a long time, about 6 years. Click on that. Ricky, if you're watching this, it's your birthday. Have someone buy it for you. So when I go Premium, you can join in, okay? That'd be great. All right. So meanwhile, back at the ranch. Here we go. In our closing, we're at 12:55. Do I want to do this one? Nope. 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 Okay, I'm going to shift over to California. All right, Steve Hilton. Everybody knows who Steve Hilton is. He used to be with Fox News. He decided to run for governor. He's in first place in their jungle primary. I do believe the early voting's already started. I know early vote 2 years out, I guess, right? In California, he is number one. He's doing good. Let's see, though, in 2016, the presidential candidate famously asked black voters, "What do you have to lose?" Trump challenged African American voters to rethink their long-standing allegiance to the Democrat Party, which he rightly claimed took them for granted and had failed to deliver the most pressing demands of black families, including providing their kids with a good education. Steve Hilton, a Republican running for governor of deep blue California, should be posing the same question to the Golden State voters. California is one of the most expensive places to live in the country, largely because of the decisions made by Democrats who have controlled the state with a two-thirds supermajority in the legislature since 2018 and have occupied the governor's mansion since 2011. Not only is California unaffordable, but the state also ranks high in homelessness, poverty, and illegal immigration, and is bleeding both businesses and residents, fed up with high taxes and suffocating regulations. In a recent CBS News poll, half of California voters said they wanted a candidate who promised change, a common sense, pro growth candidate. Hilton, a former Fox News host and advisor to conservative government David Cameron, I haven't heard that name in a while, in the United Kingdom, would not just change the Golden State, he would bring a revolution. Not only is California unaffordable, but the state also ranks high in homelessness, poverty, illegal immigration, and is bleeding both businesses and residents, fed up with high taxes and suffocating regulations. They put the same paragraph in twice. Even some Democrats, like gubernatorial candidate and tech entrepreneur Matt Mahan, are saying the state should change course. Mahan, a Silicon Valley and Harvard graduate who has served for 3 years as mayor of San Jose, says, "We don't need MAGA, but we need some more of the same." And he criticizes his party on numerous issues, including the handling of homelessness and public safety. Primary day is June 2nd. Mail-in voting began yesterday. At the moment, Hilton is leading a large field of candidates as up until recently, Hilton's odds were even better because of the way California's primary election works and because of a slew of Democrats who are in the running. The state hosts an open primary, so the top two candidates will face off on Election Day in November, regardless of party. A few weeks ago, Hilton and fellow Republican Chad Bianco, sheriff of Riverside County, were leading in the crowded field with more than 8 Democrats splitting the party's vote. If Hilton and Bianco had finished first and second in June, the Californians would have been on course for the first elected Republican since Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he said he would not be back. Forgive me for that. Democrats were so panicked by the possibility that they frantically called for members of the party to exit the race. So they don't like the rules, so they change. They don't like the outcomes, so they change the rules, like they're trying in Virginia. They're doing the same thing in California. Their Prop 50 should have been outlawed anyway. They got Swalwell to get out of the race. Then he got out of Congress. If Hilton squares off against Stryer, Becerra, or another Democrat, Could he still win? Certainly, but it would be an uphill battle. About 46 of California voters are registered Democrats, with the balance roughly split among Republicans, Independents, and other voters. Hilton has been endorsed by President Trump, whose approval rating in California is below 40%. You know what? There is a chance that man's a steadfast conservative and he cares for his adopted state of California. You know what? He left Great Britain and he didn't have to go to California. You know, he broadcast from California, he lived in California, he's running for governor of California. You know, he could have moved to Texas, New York, Washington, Maryland. He went to California and he cared so much about it. He left a high paying job at Fox News to run for governor. That's how much he cares for the state. And I think he has a really good chance of winning. As long as he can stay in the mix and get the Republicans and get Democrats to vote for him, he could be the next governor. We'll see, right? All I know is it says here, Tom Steyer, who's in second place right now, has already spent $132 million. It's not even election day yet. The first election day, because the next round comes in November. Man. What do we got? It's 102. Wow. Okay. So with that, man, I'm never going to get through this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go into premium because I need to. All right. I appreciate y'all sticking around, but I'm going to go to premium. But first, I need to talk about what's going to go on tonight. Here tonight in Copper's Cove, we have a meet and greet with the Coryell County Republican Party and Copper's Cove Conservative Club. It's going to be at Giovanni's at 6 p.m. All the candidates, oh man, I keep hitting the wrong button. It's going to be with Copper's Cove Conservative Club. There we go. 6 p.m. Giovanni's, Copper's Cove. Let me get back to the camera. There we go. We invited Judge Miller. We invited Rob Irwin. They're both going for county judge here in Coryell County. Then we have Commissioner of Precinct 2, Scott Weddle, and his challenger, Tully Meyer, are going to be there. And then we have Ray Ashby and Justin Smith. They've all been invited. We're inviting you to come. To come on out and to see what's going on, ask questions, eat some good food at Giovanni's, get prepared for the runoff because as you just saw on the, it wasn't on there. Okay, but early vote starts on the 18th of May through the 22nd of May. It's only 5 days. And then election day is May 26th for the runoff. It's the day after Memorial Day. All right, so everything's going to be going. And then, like I keep putting out, I'm supporting Ken Paxton, Mays Middleton, Ken Paxton for Senate, Mays Middleton for Attorney General, Beau French for Railroad Commission, and Rob Irwin for Coryell County Judge. All right, so come on out tonight. All right. And then on the 28th, 2 days after the election day, right, we are going to have also Pints and Politics in Gatesville, also at 6 p.m. at Ranchers. All right, well, come on out, see Chip Howell, and I think he may be dressed as Ben Franklin. I think, I'm not sure. All right, but we'll see that. All right, so we are going to, man, I'm losing track of where all my stuff is here. All right, so I'm going to stop the record and go premium only. So stand by for premium, and I'm going to continue on. All right, transition and stop record. there. And then